I've been in love with Nathan for 10 years. And I want to get married. I made a cake with my own hands, lit the candles, and asked him, Nathan, today is our 10th anniversary of being in love. Will you marry me? Nathan looked at me and was silent for a long time before saying, let's talk about it when the company stabilizes. I insisted, I want to get married this year. I'll pay the 9 yuan. You just need to find some time to get the marriage certificate. However, Nathan looked at me with an impatient look in his eyes and said, Sylvia, don't be unreasonable. The company is at a crucial moment of financing. And I don't have the mood to get married. I nodded and said, then I'll marry someone else. Nathan sneered. In these 10 years, we studied at the same school and worked in the same company. He didn't think I could just find someone else to marry. But when I walked into the wedding hall with my suitor, Nathan, with red eyes, pleaded in a low voice, Sylvia, don't marry him. Nathan and I were high school classmates and desk mates. He confessed his love to me on the day just after the college entrance examination. I, who had a crush on him, directly agreed. We were admitted to the same university and were recognized as the campus couple in the school. He started his own business right after graduating from university. And in order to help him in his career, I chose the finance department and continued my studies. Just like that. We've been together for 10 years. Actually, I brought up the matter of getting married to him after I graduated from graduate school. At that time, he refused, saying that the company was in crisis and he couldn't give me a good life for the time being. So, I waited for another 6 years. During this period, I didn't ask Nathan about getting married on my own initiative. I wanted to wait for him to be ready and propose to me on his own. 3 days ago, at the company team building event, I drank a little wine and found an excuse to go to the stairwell to rest. I heard Nathan chatting with the company president. You and Sylvia have been together for almost 10 years. Right? When are you going to get married? Nathan was smoking and didn't say anything. The other person said, haven't you thought about getting married? You haven't gotten married in 10 years. Do you want to break up? And I heard Nathan's voice. Over these years, I see her at work and at home. I always feel that if we get married like this, the days ahead will be predictable at a glance. I'm afraid I'll regret it. Only then did I know that when I was full of joy and wanted to form a happy and complete family with Nathan, Nathan was afraid that he would regret marrying me. On the day of our 10-year anniversary, it was the last chance I gave Nathan to marry me. And Nathan's answer was still the same as before. Just because I mentioned it. Nathan became irritable. Sylvia, if you can find another man to marry, then go ahead and find one. Don't force me every day. But I only mentioned it twice. Nathan left. And I cried in front of the cake all night. When I came to my senses, it was already dawn. I wiped away my tears and opened WeChat to message someone I hadn't contacted for a long time. I asked him, do you want to get the marriage certificate? Tomorrow. The other person quickly replied, did you break up with Nathan? I replied, will you marry me? If not, I'll ask someone else. The person said, right now. Bring your household register downstairs. And I'll come to pick you up. You still have 10 minutes to change your mind. With red eyes, I made up my mind to give myself a way out and replied, okay. After getting the marriage certificate, I went back to the apartment I shared with Nathan, took all my luggage, and moved into the apartment I bought 4 years ago. In the evening, I received a call from Nathan. Seeing that my things were gone, he was a bit angry. Sylvia, when did you become so unreasonable? I've already explained the reason why I don't plan to get married now. Don't force me, okay? I said, I'm not forcing you. Nathan, if you don't want to get married, then don't. It's just that I want to get married. But I don't care if the person on the marriage certificate is Nathan or not. Nathan didn't say anything. I hung up the phone directly and buried my head in my knees. I wanted to tell him that getting the marriage certificate is really quick. It only takes 10 minutes in total. It's not like forcing him onto the gallows. 3 minutes later, Nathan called again. I knew that this time he must be comforting me nicely. But I didn't answer. Just then, the doorbell rang. I opened the door and saw that person. Before I could say anything, he directly put his hand around the back of my neck and kissed me. Having been with Nathan for 10 years, we knew each other as well as we knew ourselves. Now, a strange smell filled my nostrils, and my phone kept buzzing as Nathan kept calling. My heart rate increased, and the heart rate watch on my hand made a sound. It wasn't being in love. It was nervousness, fear, and an indescribable feeling. The other person also saw the note on my phone, and there was no intention of stopping at all. "Why are you here?" I asked him unsteadily. The man put his arm around my waist. I wanted to refuse. He asked, "What do you think Nathan would do if he knew you married me?" My eyelashes trembled. My hand also stopped resisting. It was like a farewell ceremony. From then on, both my person and my heart belonged to someone else. After it was over, the other person gently pecked the corner of my lips. He said softly, "Don't blame me. You and he had 10 years together. Only by doing this can I feel that you truly belong to me. Good night, Mrs. Ifin." I fell asleep, didn't hear this sentence, and didn't see the message from Nathan on the phone on the bedside table. "Sylvia, let's both calm down." The next day, my legs hurt so much that I could barely walk steadily. That person sent me to the company, and I was already an hour late. Nathan had already called for an early meeting. When he saw me outside the office, he just gave me a cold glance. "Being late. Your full attendance bonus will be deducted." I nodded and calmly prepared to enter the conference room, but Nathan said, "Susie did a great job. From now on, Susie will be in charge of the early meeting." Susie smiled triumphantly at me and said, "Sylvia, let me do it. You go and rest." I knew that she liked Nathan. Female college students who just graduated can hardly resist a handsome, wealthy, gentle, and gentlemanly young vice president. Susie has hinted at me more than once. "Sylvia, why haven't you and President Nathan gotten married after being in love for so many years?" Several times. Nathan accidentally heard it. Just like this. Nathan also misunderstood that I was pressuring him to get married. But he didn't hear Susie's words. "I heard that couples who had been in love for a long time but haven't gotten married are most likely to break up. President Nathan is so handsome and capable. And he's very popular with girls. If you don't marry President Nathan early, Sylvia, it's really dangerous." The meaning of these words was obvious. After the meeting, I was about to leave when a colleague next to me looked at me in surprise and said, "Sylvia, no wonder you were late today. You must have been tired last night." Only then did I realize that the silk scarf I was wearing had somehow loosened, revealing mottled marks. Nathan was giving Susie instructions about important matters in the meeting minutes, but his eyes locked firmly on my neck following my colleague's words. Anyway, it also reminded me that I couldn't turn back. I covered my neck and explained to my colleague, "It's an allergy." Nathan then took his eyes away. I went back to the secretary's office and sat down to rest. At the same time, I considered one thing: resigning. After I thought it through, I went to Nathan's office. When Nathan saw me come in, he thought I was going to give in, and his expression softened a bit. I asked Susie to buy allergy medicine. "Stop being stubborn. When the company's financing situation stabilizes, I'll consider getting married." It turned out that getting married was only something he needed to consider, and he didn't need to take my feelings into account. "President Nathan, I want to resign," I said directly. As soon as Nathan heard this, his face immediately fell. "Sylvia, we can talk about our matters privately at home. Do you have to bring your emotions into work?" My heart ached as I said, "President Nathan, I'm not bringing my emotions into work. I'm getting married." When Nathan heard this, he couldn't help but smash the coffee bottle water cup on the table to the ground. "Sylvia, did you come to the company just to force me?" I suppressed my equally irritable emotions and looked at him calmly. "Nathan, I'm getting married. But not to you." Nathan obviously didn't believe it. He thought this was a way for me to force him. Susie came in and was stunned for a moment when she saw the broken coffee bottle water cup on the ground. "I'll submit my resignation letter to the HR department." I ignored Nathan, left this sentence, and turned to leave. In fact, I'm far from as calm as I seem on the surface. Having been with Nathan for 10 years, he is like the blood in my bones, having spread to every corner of my body. I also know that as long as I force him, he will definitely marry me out of responsibility. But I don't want that. During the 3 years of high school, we had a crush on each other but restrained ourselves. After we went to university, we were madly in love. But I don't want to become the disliked white rice grain on his tie. In these 10 years, I can't bear to part with him. So even though he doesn't want to marry me, he doesn't want to let me go either. It doesn't matter. If his heart gets tired of me first, then I'll leave first. After all, losing something will make people remember it deeply. After organizing my thoughts, I started to write my resignation letter. Over the years, I've saved a lot of money. I've also been studying stocks and funds, and they've been performing well. I also created a self-media account and gained a lot of followers. Even without a job, I don't have to worry about my daily life. But Nathan doesn't know any of this. He has always been immersed in his work. He has always said that he understands my things, and I can do whatever I want. At first, I thought he supported me unconditionally. But now I realize that he wasn't supporting me. He was just not interested in my hobbies. After writing the resignation letter and printing it out, before I had time to go to the HR department, Susie came in. "Sylvia, don't push President Nathan too hard. The company is currently at a crucial stage of financing. He always puts work first and puts personal matters aside. You should know President Nathan better than I do." I looked at the copy bottle water cup in Susie's hand. "The water cup he smashed was given to him by you. A couple's item? I should have noticed earlier. I don't know when there were some ornaments in Nathan's office that didn't match his style. Before, when I saw something new on Nathan's desk, I asked out of curiosity. At that time, Nathan looked at the wooden fish and smiled, saying, 'It's something for young people.'" Susie immediately became nervous. "Sylvia, it's not like that. That was a birthday gift I gave to President Nathan. I actually liked it myself. So I kept one for myself." She couldn't help having a crush on Nathan. And she really didn't cross the line with Nathan. She just wanted to see when our relationship would end. I turned my gaze away and didn't say anything. Susie reluctantly placed the allergy medicine on my desk. "Sylvia, President Nathan has approved a 1-month leave for you. He said that I will take over your work during this period." "That's fine too." "Okay." I accepted it calmly. After Susie left, I handed in my resignation letter to the Human Resources Department. Which means I will have a 1-month paid leave. And I will directly come to go through the resignation procedures after a month. For the past 10 years, my life has revolved around Nathan and the company. I thought I would be very sad to leave it. But after I stepped out of the gate, I just looked back once. At this time, I received a message from that person. "How about having the wedding in a month? I'll send you several hotels and the wedding styles." My mind went blank. I could only reply to him, "It's all okay. As long as you like it." After going home, I tried my best to find things to do for myself, to prevent myself from falling into memories. Just as I was looking at the stocks, a voice came from behind me. "Do you want to buy this?" "Yeah. This group has already had negative news. But it's just being suppressed for the time being. There's no accident that it will have a major problem tomorrow. I suggest you buy the stocks of their rival company." So that's it. I didn't expect him to know so much about stocks. When I reacted and turned around, Afan just leaned in. "Didn't you say you were going to the company?" I'm not yet used to being so intimate with him. I turned my head away after he kissed me. Before leaving in the morning, Ethan asked me for the spare key to the apartment. I had no reason to refuse. Yeah. To ask for leave. Ethan directly took out the proposal from the wedding planning company for me to see. I have to say that it's very comfortable to get along with Ethan. He is very good at reading people's expressions. He guessed which style I liked from the time my eyes stayed on it. After choosing the wedding planning company, he dragged me to choose the decoration for the new house. Just like this. The afternoon passed. Seeing that I was tired from choosing, Ethan let me go. I glanced at my phone and there was a message from the Human Resources Management. After I left, the Human Resources Management handed the resignation letter to Nathan. Nathan flew into a rage and directly tore up the paper resignation letter. I then sent an electronic version of the resignation letter to the Human Resources Management through my work email. This time, Nathan approved it. He sent a message. "Are you forcing me by resigning? What you're doing will only make me angrier." It seems that he believes I'm just throwing a tantrum. But it doesn't matter. Time will prove everything. I thought I would be in a sad mood for a long time. But Ethan didn't give me a chance at all. He took a leave and took me to look at houses, choose plans, and buy ornaments at the market. He studied the content of my videos with me and gave me constructive suggestions. Then he took me home to meet his parents, and we had a meal together. It took us less than a week to set a specific wedding date. I couldn't help comparing him with Nathan. Nathan is very self-disciplined. He never tries many indulgent things. Even if I like them, they will be vetoed under his proposal. But Ethan often asks me, "What do you like?" During this period, news about Nathan was constantly passed on to me through several of my colleagues in the company who were on good terms with me. For example, there was an error in the data and Susie couldn't sort it out either. The board of directors was furious and criticized Nathan. Another example was that Nathan was drunk and Susie sent him back, but finally left crying. I stared blankly at the message sent by my colleague. Ethan came out after taking a shower and accidentally caught a glimpse of it. He asked me, "Didn't you tell him about getting married?" I said, "I wrote it in the resignation letter." Ethan wiped his hair and stared at me with a smile. "Mrs. Athan, do you think he read it?" I hesitated for a moment. Maybe he did, but maybe he would think this is just an excuse for me to force him. As the saying goes, speak of the devil and he appears. Nathan called. Except for that night. This was the first time he had contacted me in this week. While I was hesitating, Ethan had already pressed the answer button and mouthed to me that he would go to cook. Ethan is very good at cooking. Because he is rather picky about food. The standard of ordinary restaurants can't meet his requirements instead. I can also cook. So when he cooks, I wash the dishes. When I cook, he will help me and take care of the remaining tasks by the way. As for the housework, we both decided to hire a housekeeper. And Nathan can only work, then wait for the meal, and continue working after eating. I'm left to clean up. I asked Nathan, "Is there anything, President Nathan?" On the other end of the phone, Nathan's breathing was heavy, as if he had been drinking. "Sylvia, come back if you're not angry anymore. After all these years, do you really want to have a cold war with me for the rest of our lives?" I didn't say anything. He then said in a low voice, "I know you want to get married. It's not that I don't want to marry you. I just haven't thought it through yet. Please give me a little more time." I wanted to ask him, "Isn't 10 years enough?" But I also thought it was meaningless. My finger was poked. I turned my head and Ethan had come in at some point and put a ring on my hand. There was a huge pink diamond on it. I remember it was bought at a charity auction a week ago. Now that I think about it, it was on the night when Ethan and I got the marriage certificate. And Ethan also smiled at me and mouthed, "Mrs. Ethan. Happy wedding." At this moment, I no longer hesitated. I said to Nathan, "President Nathan, I'm already married. You have a long time to think about your own things. But they have nothing to do with me anymore. I will return to the company to go through the resignation procedures after the leave ends. I also hope you won't disturb me anymore." There was a huge sound of glass breaking on the other end of the phone. And Susie's scream. Susie nervously took the phone. Sylvia, President Nathan's stomach problem has flared up. He won't go to the hospital." I said quickly. "The stomach medicine is in the second drawer under the TV in the living room. Don't take Cefixime after drinking alcohol." Susie found the stomach medicine according to my words and let out a sigh of relief. "Sylvia. Thank you." I hummed and was about to hang up the phone. Susie asked, "Sylvia, are you really married?" I looked at Ethan and asked, "Yes, hadn't fulfilled my obsession. I am. My husband is right next to me. Do you want to talk to him?" "No. No need." Susie hung up the phone quickly. Scared. Ethan pinched my chin and smiled. Mrs. Ethan remembers it so clearly. There was a strong hint of jealousy in his tone. It's not that I remember it clearly. But I took care of everything in the house. Nathan would never pay attention to these small details of life. I don't know if Nathan remembers my words. Nor do I care if Susie believes it. In short, no one in the company asked me whether I was really married or not. I didn't contact Nathan again. And Nathan didn't contact me either. He knew I bought an apartment. But he didn't know which building, floor, and room number it was. One night, I heard from the security guard that he saw Nathan's car outside. Someone also asked me about it. But out of protecting the privacy of the property owners, the security guard was vigilant and didn't say anything. Just like this. More than half a month passed. After communicating with the Human Resources Department, I went to the company in advance to go through the resignation procedures. I didn't bring any wedding invitations. Nor did I plan to invite anyone. In the past 10 years, Nathan and I were almost tied together. The people I knew were all from work. After it ended with Nathan, I didn't need to drag them into my life either. Just as I came out after going through the resignation procedures, I happened to meet Nathan and Susie. Susie hesitated and said, President Nathan. President Ethan at John B.A. I Group sent an invitation. His wedding will be in half a month, and he hopes you can attend. Nathan's voice was hoarse. You go and prepare a gift and send it for me then. Susie seemed to want to say something but held back. I knew Ethan would send him an invitation. I deliberately stepped back to avoid them, but I was still bumped into by Nathan at the corner. The moment I saw him, my calm heart was like a lake that had a stone thrown into it. But the ripples quickly spread out and returned to calm. After not seeing him for more than half a month, Nathan had changed a bit. His stubble wasn't cleaned up properly. His tie was in a mess. And his eyes were red. It seemed that he didn't sleep well. By the way, he has neurasthenia and doesn't sleep well. I often kept sleep aromatherapy at home. But there wasn't much left before I left. And it should have been used up long ago. When he saw me, Nathan wanted to speak. But he suppressed his impulse, tugged at his tie, and said, Since you've thought it through and come back, sort things out. Everything will be the same as before. I held up the things I had packed and said to Nathan, You're overthinking. President Nathan. I'm here to go through the resignation procedures. I thought that since President Nathan gave me a 1-month lead anyway, I might as well go through the procedures in advance. Mainly because there will be a wedding at that time. And I'm afraid I won't have time to go through the resignation procedures. Nathan's face darkened. Sylvia. You've been in the company for so many years. Do you know that once you leave, you won't be able to come back? According to the company's regulations, former employees who have resigned can't be hired back. I was about to speak when Susie suddenly said, Sylvia. Your ring is so beautiful. When did you buy it? I was surprised. Nathan shifted his gaze to the ring on my ring finger. His eyes darkened. Before I could react, he grabbed my hand. What is this? I frowned and was about to speak when Ethan's voice came from behind me. President Nathan. Nathan instinctively let go of my hand. And his face returned to normal. President Ethan. Long time no see. Why do you have time to visit our company today? I remember that our company and your company haven't had a cooperative relationship for a long time. Ethan rubbed his nose. Don't be nervous. President Nathan. This is a personal matter today. My wife came to the company to go through the resignation procedures today. And I'm here to pick her up. Nathan was stunned. Calmly looked at the things on the ground and asked me, Are these yours? I glanced at them. There was nothing too important. Just some small items. Forget it. Just throw them away. I'll buy new ones. Then I turned to Nathan and said calmly, President Nathan. I'm really married. This is my husband. I hope President Nathan will come to my wedding with Ethan on time. I won't disturb your work. We're going back now. Nathan's eyes were wide with anger. He snatched the invitation from Susie's hand and finally saw my name and Ethan's name on it. But I had already taken Ethan's arm and left. This is the company. He, who clearly distinguishes between public and private affairs, definitely won't bring his personal emotions into his work. After leaving the company, I got into Ethan's car. Ethan didn't start the car in a hurry. He got up and fastened my seat belt for me. With a smile in his eyes. Mrs. Afan, Ethan. Can you really let go? Whether I can let go or not. I have to let go. Ethan wasn't satisfied with my answer and said in a flippant tone. But President Nathan seems very reluctant, doesn't he? I didn't answer. Belated affection is cheaper than grass. In 10 years. If Nathan really didn't want to let me go, he wouldn't have hesitated about getting married. He's just not used to it. He's not used to suddenly losing me. And he's not used to me, who has always been by his side, suddenly belonging to someone else. And I had decided to look forward. I turned to Ethan and said, I heard that President Ethan had a first-love girlfriend in college who he dated for 3 years. When they broke up, President Ethan was drunk for 3 days. And he didn't date anyone for 8 years because of her. Is President Ethan willing to let go? That was something that happened many years ago. I also heard it from others in my previous work. Ethan seemed like a very steady person. So when someone told me that he had been drunk for 3 days because of that girl, I never expected he could be so impulsive and reckless. Is Mrs. Ethan jealous? Ethan seemed very pleased. I turned my head and looked out of the car window. On, Ethan. We will also spend the next 10 years together. In the past 10 years, Nathan and I had our passionate moments. But in the end, everything became calm. What about Ethan and me? What will happen 10 years from now? Ethan held my hand. Not just that. There's no tradition of divorce in the Ethan family. We'll have not only 10 years, but 20, 30 years together. I looked at him seriously. Ethan, if one day you find being with me boring, just tell me directly. I'm not the type to cling on. I'll let go and leave. I have to admit that during the time I've been with Ethan, I've developed feelings for him. Even so, I can't help but wonder. What if the same thing that happened with Nathan happens to us? Mrs. Ethan. No amount of promises can compare to what I do. Time will prove everything. Ethan held my hand tightly. This reminded me of our second meeting 4 years ago. He asked me, Sylvia, after working hard with President Nathan for so many years and still not getting married, it must be because a by-the-book person like President Nathan is so boring. Have you ever considered finding a new boyfriend? I rolled my eyes at him in response. Such frivolous words made him sound like a playboy who flirted with many women. But in the past 4 years, I really haven't seen him bring a female companion out in public. It's always his male assistants. Of course, it could also be that I just don't pay attention. But I didn't care. I had given my heart to Nathan for so many years. And now I wouldn't give it away easily just because of a little crush. Even if we got married, it would be out of responsibility. The preparations for the wedding were all done. I hung up all the calls from Nath, and during this time, on the eve of the wedding, he still found my place. Ethan and I had just come back from the market. He was carrying bags in both hands. And I was holding the fried chicken ice cream he bought to make me happy. When he saw Nathan, Ethan casually took a bite of my fried chicken ice cream, carried the things inside, and didn't even invite Nathan in. In just a month, Nathan became so thin that his cheeks were sunken. He looked at me with red eyes. Sylvia, please don't marry him. Let's get married. We can get the marriage certificate tomorrow. I told Nathan. President Nathan. Ethan and I have already got the marriage certificate. It was a month ago. The day you refused to marry me. It didn't matter that he didn't want to marry me. I could marry someone else. Nathan's face turned pale. And he staggered. He gritted his teeth. Sylvia, do you even know him? Do you know what kind of person he is? You've been with me for 10 years. Why did you suddenly choose him? Have you two been having an affair all along? In response, I slapped him across the face. Nathan, what you said is an insult to me. My hand went numb. I used a lot of strength. But I still clearly told Nathan. You don't want to marry me. And you won't let me marry someone else? Nathan angrily said. Sylvia, you've been with me for 10 years. The person you want to marry is me. How could you marry him? I smiled. Because he wants to marry me. He's wanted to for years. So I married him. Sylvia, am not someone no one wants. Besides Nathan, I had many suitors. But I was devoted to Nathan. I turned to leave. But Nathan grabbed my hand and asked, Sylvia, do you love him? There seemed to be a glimmer of hope in his tone and eyes. I gently break apart his fingers and said word by word, Nathan, we've been together for 10 years. All these years. I see you at work and at home. Do you know that just looking at you makes me feel like I can see the rest of my life? Nathan's face turned white. Finally, he let go of my hand. You heard everything? Yes, and I heard it. That night, I thought a lot. I had been devoted to him for so many years. In life, I took good care of him and handled things he wasn't good at. At work, since he didn't like me being too competitive, I stepped back and became his assistant secretary. But in the end, I got a comment that just looking at me made him feel that life was predictable. Love? Love was me willingly following him for 10 years. Not getting the result I wanted. And being told that I was pressuring him? But I didn't want to say another word to Nathan. Every minute and second spent with him was exhausting. More tiring than ever before. Nathan, I'm getting married. I hope you won't disturb my life anymore in the future. Nathan said. Sylvia, let me explain. But I had already gone inside. Ethan had been waiting behind the door. When he saw me come in, he put out a cigarette and said, Leave it to me. And he went out alone to block Nathan. Ethan, you despicable opportunist. Nathan gritted his teeth. I was trembling all over. Yes, hadn't fulfilled my obsession. I was taking revenge on Nathan. Only at this moment did I truly feel that it was all over between us. Then I heard Ethan's voice. For years ago, when your company was on the verge of bankruptcy, did you really think you solved the problem? Let me tell you. If it wasn't for Sylvia braving the heavy rain to come to me and ask me to withdraw from the competition, do you think you could have gotten through it so easily? Nathan looked stunned. I closed my eyes. For years ago, the company faced a huge crisis. At that time, Nathan was just a small partner. If the crisis couldn't be overcome, the company would go bankrupt. And Nathan would be burned and with millions of debts. Ethan was his competitor at that time. And the most powerful one. In business, it's not just about strategies, but also about backing. Ethan was the heir of the Ethan family. The business plan was originally going to be presented to the chairman of the Ethan family group. It was only when I took the business plan to the chairman of the Ethan family group that I realized Ethan was the hidden heir. Such connections were impossible for others to compete with. For Ethan, having fulfilled my desire, that project was just a chance to gain experience. But for Nathan, it was his last hope. Not willing to give up, I drank a bottle of Bayou with Ethan to get a chance to present the plan to President Ethan. After listening, Ethan said nonchalantly to President Ethan, Dad, this project isn't very difficult and isn't that interesting. Since she wants it so much, just give it to her. He gave up the project, which gave Nathan the opportunity to gain fame, grow the company, and reach his current position after several rounds of financing. But it was also on that day that Ethan took a fancy to me. He knew I had a 10-year relationship with Nathan. And he only talked about it. He never let anyone misunderstand our relationship. In the past for years, he didn't date any women. Even if there were any gossip, he would immediately send me a message to explain. Although I didn't respond, I knew he was serious. I don't know how long it took, but Nathan finally left. When Ethan came in and saw me, I quickly wiped away my tears. He just hugged me quietly and said in a sad voice, Mrs. Ethan, have I key? I know you don't love me now. But it doesn't matter. We have a long time ahead. You can get to know me, get used to me, and realize that I'm better than Nathan. I couldn't help but laugh and pushed Ethan away. Looking up at him. Ethan, don't you mind? Mind the 10 years I had with Nathan. Ethan held my face in his hands. How could I? My missus. Ethan took the wrong path for 10 years. But now she's finally on the right track. I'm too happy to mind. I couldn't give Ethan an answer that I loved him right then. But I could hug him firmly and say, Ethan, hadn't fulfilled my obsession. Don't worry. Now that I know it was the wrong path, I won't go down it again. We've all met the wrong people. But that's just a choice in life. Making a mistake isn't necessarily a bad thing. Sticking to a mistake is the wrong thing to do. Only by recognizing the mistake can we find the right choice. The wedding was held as scheduled. Nathan still showed up that day. He had red eyes and endured the disapproving looks from the crowd. I had been with him for 10 years. And many people knew me. But now I was marrying the heir of the Ethan family. I calmly raised my glass to Nathan, wishing him that in the rest of his life, he could find someone who made him feel that there was always something to look forward to. The end. Nathan's side story in the 10th year was Sylvia. We lived like one person. She knew me so well. When I raised my hand, she knew what clothes I wanted to wear. When I took a step, she knew where I was going. After the company got on the right track, life became extremely peaceful. Until one day, a bright and lively graduate appeared in my office. She would put cute toys on my desk. She would also smile and ask me, "Has President Nathan ever played escape room? Can you play werewolf?" I thought it was funny. While Sylvia would only tell me where to go next, what time the video conference was, and which private kitchen cuisine she ordered for dinner. Everything was so routine that it made me feel bored. So I became very interested in Susie. I expressed to her several times that Sylvia was boring. Then Susie tried even harder to find interesting topics to catch my attention. Although we never explicitly admitted it, this new sense of freshness gave me a different kind of excitement. So when Sylvia brought up getting married, I felt annoyed. Was I really going to love like this for the rest of my life? I struggled with this for a long time. Sylvia had been with me for 10 years. Logically and emotionally, I should give her an answer. Just when I was about to give in, I found out that Sylvia was married. At that moment, I felt as if a rib had been violently pulled out of my body. It hurt so much. That night, I got drunk, and Susie took me home. I could feel that Susie liked me. Her eyes couldn't hide it. And her words were full of curiosity about me. Taking advantage of my drunken state, I asked her, "Do you like me?" But the way Susie looked at me changed. She said, "President Nathan, I used to like you. But after I went to your apartment that day, I don't like you anymore."